Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the new Power Shift Seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which every card in our starting deck gets its power set to its provision cost. That means some cards that would normally be very weak are suddenly extremely powerful, and for that reason, today's deck is ridiculously strong, so let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Nilfgaard Tactical Decision deck that loads up on tons of removal and control options to the point where our opponent is not going to be able to play practically any of their best cards. We load up on big time removal with Geralt Professional, Geralt of Rivia, Leo, and Geralt Igni, so if they play anything big, we're gonna take it down. Similarly, we have Yennefer to steal one of their units, and Shilard to weaken their strongest unit in their hand, which, in this event, could be worth tons of points. Then we'll combine a little bit of luck with the Alba Armored Cavalry and the Moorlehem Hunter to either shut down our opponent's engines, or if we have Vanhemar, then outright remove those cards. And it's a little bit of a meme, but when we remove those cards, if we have Imperial Practitioner on the board, then we can put a copy of that card at the top of our deck. So if you destroy one of their best cards, then this is a great way to use it yourself. Just remember that this card will not technically be from your starting deck, and so it will have its usual base power, not the increased base power from Power Shift. Then we have Viper Witcher Alchemist for a big point slam. And then rather than relying on tutors for consistency, we have tons of cards that get summoned out from our deck to give us thinning, such as Roach, the Wolf School Trio, Knickers, and the Blightmaker plus Mage Assassin combo. And because we don't need to dilute our deck with all of those tutoring special cards, that means we can put tons of provisions into our units, which is why we can afford to have all those big removal cards. And if you accidentally get one of the wrong cards in your hand, then use your leader ability to swap it out. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it is all about shutting down our opponent's most powerful units, and using those removal cards that in Standard wouldn't be worth tons of points, but in Power Shift are also point slams. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here, and they'll go first. Alright, so let's get rid of the Mage Assassin since we want to keep that in our deck. And we have a lot of lock, which may be a little bit of overkill. That's mostly, of course, to shut down units, yes, but also to set up Vanhemar, and we don't have Vanhemar at the moment. And, well, we got greedy and perhaps ought not to have made that switch. We can get Knickers back into our deck, either with our leader ability or as we head into round 2. So we'll start with Radovid, and speaking of cards that we would like to lock or potentially destroy, he may be on that list. And since we have so many options for destroying or locking units, I think we can be pretty aggressive here. Let's go with Geralt to take him out. Because not only does he have a good ability, he also has 10 base power. Then it's Siege. Okay. So we could lock this Reinforced Trebuchet. Why don't we do that? Then it's a Reinforced Ballista. And that will trigger Siege. And I'm anticipating that they might play something big pretty soon. So what if we go with Shilard Fitz-Oesterlin here, to weaken whatever their strongest card might be? And it is King Henselt. I thought it might have been him, so at least initially he is very weak. But it will trigger Bombardment. And so they did get a ton of damage there, and Henselt would probably be the next best target for us to lock. So I think we may want to go that route here. Then it's Amphibious Assault, which could be a pretty solid point slam here. Into, oh, a little bit surprised. K20 Revenant, I suppose they have the damage to support it. Though they did just get rid of what would have been the obvious target, I suppose they might still have enough damage to weaken Shilard Fitz-Oesterlin enough for that to be the Revenant target. They've definitely done a good job here in round 1, and so we might consider passing a little bit early and giving them the round 1 win while we're still a card up. But why don't we at least try to get a little more thinning here with the Blightmaker into Mage Assassin at the top of our deck to get that out and deal some damage. Okay, and it does look like they're trying to weaken Shilard Fitz-Oesterlin so that he can become the target for this Revenant. They're using their leader ability charges pretty aggressively, but of course they did still manage to get one more from when they played Radovid previously. Then it's another Revenant. And yeah, we now have several 1-power cards for them to eat. We could use Geralt Professional to destroy this one. I'm not sure that's worth it. We have a 21-point slam with Eskel, but that is not enough by itself for us to catch them. So I think it may be best if we just call it quits in round 1. So of course that means they'll take the win, at least in this round. Okay, and so we drew into Vesemir, and we definitely don't want to have multiple of the Wolf School Witchers, so let's get rid of him. And they did play one more card than us in round 1, so they may dry pass, in which case we want to make sure that we have at least one throwaway card. Let's make sure that we get rid of Knickers, though. And, well, unfortunately, it is another Wolf School Witcher. We can still fine-tune that in between rounds, or use our leader ability to make that happen. But they did dry pass, and so that means we're just looking for a throwaway here. It could either be then Moorlehem Hunter if we don't think we need the lock anymore, or Imperial Practitioner, which is mostly just to put a strong card back at the top of our deck after we use a Geralt to destroy one of their biggest units. Of course, we won't have enough time to do that in round 2, so maybe we do just go with the Moorlehem Hunter in that case. Oh, that is very unfortunate Knickers timing, though. Okay, and so we drew into Vanhemar. Fortunately, we did draw into our other locking unit. We do still have setup for you. Let's make sure that we get rid of our other Wolf School Witcher. Igni is a great pickup, and what we'd be looking for here would be another Blightmaker or Leo. We could potentially use our leader ability to try to get one of those cards, so it's not desperate that we get one of them now. So maybe we do stick with this, but we might switch out Red Haze, and there is Leo. Okay, so that's awesome. So let's start with a Viper Witcher Alchemist. And could have been better. Could have been worse. Redanian Archer. They are very clearly a very damage-oriented deck, but not too worried about these Alchemists getting damaged or even destroyed, so I think we just play another one here. And this time, well, same luck. A 5-point boost. Reinforced Ballista, so not so surprisingly, more damage, more siege engines, and another siege master. And I think what we do here is we go for a proactive Imperial Practitioner. I'm hoping that this doesn't attract too much attention from them, and then between Leo, Igni, Geralt Professional, we can certainly destroy some cards, even Alba Armored Cavalry plus Vanhemar, and then put that card at the top of our deck, and use our leader ability to get that card into our hand and play it ourselves. Yeah, but they are going for it. Okay. They're suspicious. It's a luxury, not a necessity, so it's not the end of the world if they do destroy him, but it'd be kind of nice if he stayed around. And, in fact, they'll go as far as to use a leader ability charge to make sure that they get rid of him before we can use him. So, I mean, it was damage bait, I suppose, if nothing else. And tell you what, I think we do go with the Alba Armored Cavalry to lock this Reinforced Ballista, because then we can use Vanhemar to destroy it. It would have potentially been a viable Geralt Professional target, although that would have been probably pretty serious overkill. But what it does do is, once we do that, it'll get rid of what is currently the highest card there, and potentially, if they play more 5s, could make for a nice Igni in their range row, although now War Chariot is their highest unit. We could also use a Yenvo to steal something if there's anything that we feel particularly concerned about. It's mostly just little engines that hit us for 1 damage per turn. And I don't think we need to make up our mind about the War Chariot just yet. It may end up being our Yenvo target, but since it's currently on cooldown, and it would take a fair bit between their leader ability and perhaps other supporting cards for this to use its ability on their next turn, so I think we do go Vanhemar now. Get rid of this reinforced ballista. Okay, then it's a reinforced trebuchet for more 1 point damage every turn. So I think we might want to Yenvo this War Chariot, because as I was saying, if they have 5 power units as their highest unit in this row, and there's 3 of them, then that's 15 points of damage from Igni, which is decent, not amazing, but it does get rid of a lot of their damage as well, which is also pretty nice. But that does require that we get rid of the War Chariot with Yenvo, and that they don't play a bigger unit in their range row on their next turn. That, of course, we can't control, but we can at least try to use Yenvo here, and see if that's all we need. And it's another 5 power unit in the range row, so that's actually perfect. That is another card that we're about to destroy. So that means this is exactly the Igni that we were looking for, and they're at 26 points in their range row, so it should work as long as we don't use any other order abilities first. So that should be a pretty big play for us. Now it's Amphibious Assault, which is probably going to give them something bigger than a 5, so we might have Igni'd just in time. But this could become our Leo or Geralt Professional target, depending on what number this is. It's 9. So that is a multiple of 3, and therefore Geralt Professional is capable of taking it out. Similarly, Leo could also take it out. Not sure to what extent we're expecting one of these last 3 cards to be 9 points or higher. It's probably fairly likely, assuming they have a big finisher that they're waiting to play. So let's save Leo and go Geralt Professional here. Then it's Geralt of Rivia, which is a potential Leo target, so that's fine. Obviously, we'd like to have kept our Geralt, though. So we could either go straight into Leo, or we could get a little bit greedy and go with Eskel and get all the Wolf School Witchers first and see if they happen to have something bigger than Geralt that they play on their next turn to give Leo an even better target to destroy. There's the slimmest of chances that they're about to play Donimir in this melee row, their defender, to stop us from taking Geralt. It's pretty unlikely, but it's theoretically the risk we would be taking by not going with Leo immediately. But I don't think that's a huge risk, so let's go Eskel. Although, to tell you the truth, that might have been better to do in the melee row, because now all these 7s are the highest cards in our range row, so if they have an Igni, then suddenly Igni is amazing on our range row, but Bombardment changes that, and we got rid of so many of their siege engines that that is no longer a big play. So now we go with Leo, and doesn't matter, melee, range row, either way, we're going to destroy Geralt, but it doesn't matter, because they forfeit. Alright, so going up against Nilfgaard here, and we'll go first. Okay, and our hand is full of bricks. We have every Wolf School Witcher, so we are definitely going to want to try to get rid of 2 of those. We also have both Mage Assassins. We don't want either of them in our hand either. So we'll get rid of some of these cards, but we'll have to use our Stratagem to fix one of them, and then probably our Leader ability to fix some of the other ones. So at least now the Wolf School trio is playable, and if we get rid of one of the Mage Assassins, then at least a single Blightmaker Mage Assassin combo is also usable. We could lead with the Shilard Fitz-Oesterlin, but in case they are running Sunset Wanderers, which starts big but gains power every turn in their hand, let's hold off a little bit, because in that case, the later we play Shilard, the stronger it will be. So let's start with, instead, the Viper Witcher Alchemist. And, oh, Cantarella. That does tell us a bit about their deck. Hopefully it's not middle. That'd be kind of annoying, but 7 points is not bad on that boost. Alba Pikeman. We did need to play this in the melee row, so taking this damage was a little bit unavoidable. If we're really concerned about that damage adding up, though, we could lock him with either the Armored Cavalry or Moorlehem Hunter. And since we do have 2 locking units, sure, we'll go for it. And I did not see any movement in their hands. They do not have Sunset Wanderers, so an early Shilard should still be pretty safe. It's another Alba Pikeman. Okay, well, I mean, we can lock this other one as well. And we do currently have Vanhemar in our hand, which means we can destroy one of these Alba Pikemen as well. You want to be a little bit careful about committing all of your lock if you do not have Vanhemar yet, because you want to have the lock to set him up. Imperial Diplomacy. It's theoretically possible they could get some purification here to remove the lock on one of those pikemen. That is not what they go for, though. And we do have armor, so that means they'll get a little bit of extra damage on our Armored Cavalry. But while these pikemen are still locked, let's make sure we use Vanhemar now. Get rid of one of them. It'll also get out Roach. And while we're at it, let's use the Cursed Scroll to either get a Blightmaker or one of our Geralts in our hand. Let's actually go Leo. And then, perhaps most importantly, put the Mage Assassin back into our deck. That'll also get Knickers out. So they'll pass. And that gives us a pretty quick round 1 win here. Okay, so we drew into one of the Mage Assassins. Let's dump that. We got Geralt. That's great. We don't currently have any bricks in our hand, so we might want to keep it at this. If we're feeling greedy, we could potentially get rid of some of our lock, because we don't need that much now that we've already played Vanhemar, though obviously can still shut down an engine. So I think we'll stick with this. And if we really don't want to play those cards, then we can use our leader ability to try to get something else to replace them. And we at least have 2 throwaway cards here, or we can try to push in round 2. We're definitely going to want to play Shilard as one of those 2 cards. Why don't we start, though, with the Viper Witcher Alchemist? And okay, 5-point boost is not amazing, but we've seen a few Assimilate cards here. Does make me wonder if they might be a full-blown Assimilate deck. Mage Torturer is an Assimilate card, yeah. It's possible. In which case, their highest card may be Terra Nova, which would be a 13, so if they do have that in hand, then Shilard can hit it really hard. So let's go for that. And that is technically carryover, so that means even if we pass now, we still are getting some additional value for round 3. Food Gras. Not a terrible choice, but here's the thing about Assimilate in this event. The cards that you're getting, because they're not from your starting deck, they do not get the effect of Power Shift. So you saw the base power on this Viper Witcher Alchemist was just 2, and that means they haven't caught us yet, which may be reason to keep on playing here. But if we were to do that, we'd have to commit something pretty big, like a Geralt or a Leo, or we'd go with a tiny little lock unit, which is probably not what we're looking for here, since we can't lock that Mage Torturer. So I think we probably do just pass now. They'll go with Moorlehem Hunter. That's a throwaway for them, because that's all the points they'll need to take the round 2 win. Okay, the game really wants us to have a Mage Assassin in our hand. No thank you, though. We'll take the Blightmakers instead to get those Mage Assassins out from our deck. And then Red Haze can be amazing if we get a little bit lucky, but also can be quite lackluster if we're unlucky. So let's try getting rid of one of those, and if we do get a bricked card instead, then we can use our leader ability to fix that. And since we did get a second Wolf School Witcher, that is definitely what we're going to want to do with our leader ability. Master Disguise will get boosted if they lock one of our cards. Do we have any engines that would be significant to lock? Not really. And that is an engine, so honestly, we might as well just lock that. And it's, oh, their Defender, which is the best defender in this event. As you see there, usually has 1 base power. In this event, it has 9. when you add on battle preparation, turns it into a 15. So Fion is pretty huge, and therefore is a pretty solid target for someone like Geralt to get rid of. So I think we just go for it here. But it does make you wonder what they were going to try to protect in that melee row. Potentially Cahir, though he's not really an assimilate card. And that is another engine that we could potentially lock with Alba Armored Cavalry, so I say we go for it because it's small enough that we aren't going to be able to destroy it all that easily with other removal cards, so we might as well shut it down with lock. And it is Cahir. Okay, I thought it might be. We actually aren't planning to do any boosting, so he's basically just a 9-point body. That being said, he is still big enough to destroy with Leo, if we'd like to go that route. So now, why don't we fix our hand a little bit, since, as I was saying, we got those 2 Wolf School Witchers, and we only want one of them. So we'll use Tactical Decision to get more Vran. And, well, we definitely don't want additional Wolf School Witchers. Nor did we want a Mage Assassin, so that is a little unfortunate. Might have been better to go Blightmaker first to at least thin out those Mage Assassins so we were not at risk of drawing into them. But now we can get rid of you guys, and we can get rid of you. So we should still be fine. And maybe that's our signal that we should go Blightmaker into Mage Assassin. And it technically, there was a chance that I was going to hit Cahir and drop him down to a 7, where he's no longer in removal range for either Leo or Geralt Professional, so it might have been worth just going straight into Leo to destroy him. But they might have bigger cards than Cahir, they very well could. In which case, we'd like to save Leo for that, like Damien. Like Damien. So let's destroy him, which means we need Leo in the melee row. Then it's Letho Kingslayer, probably to turn into another Cahir. That is also over 9 power, but we've used base Geralt, and we've now used Leo as well, and he's not a multiple of 3, and therefore Geralt Professional does not work on him. Geralt Igni actually would take him out right now, which might actually be the play, to be honest with you. We could get greedy and see if they happen to play another 10 power card in that row. Actually, tell you what, first why don't we go Red Haze, get rid of that Cahir. And technically it does drop them to 18 in that melee row, which means now Igni needs there to be a little more power before that works. So we do need to be a little bit careful about some of our removal cards, potentially getting rid of targets for our other removal cards. And Moorlehem Hunter will go in the melee row, which means they are now back above 20 points in the melee row, which means now Igni does work in the melee row. So we could consider that. Geralt Professional still is looking at just 3 damage, so that's suboptimal. There's a chance they have a Witcher trio of their own, which would actually be a much better Igni target if they play it in the range row where those cards are the highest unit in the row. Otherwise, they play in the melee row, Cahir is still going to be the Igni target. It's a little greedy, but maybe we try waiting for that. So why don't we go with our own Witcher trio in that case, and if we play it in our melee row, even if they have Igni, that's going to get rid of Geralt and Leo instead, which is slightly fewer points that we lose than losing all 3 of these guys. Then it's Treason, which is a 14-point play, solid. Still no good Geralt Professional targets. Cahir would still be the Igni target. We might opt to settle for that. Otherwise, it's Blightmaker, and we just hope that when we bring out the Mage Assassin, it doesn't happen to hit Cahir. Otherwise, we're reducing the amount of value we're getting from Igni by a little bit. That's a 25% chance of happening. Maybe we take our chances there. Okay, and it did not hit Cahir, so that's great. And I think this is going to be an echoed copy of Coup de Grace. Yeah, because they played one of those in a previous round. Do they have a Witcher trio of their own? If so, they're about to get all of them out from their deck. They did not. And as I said, any card that is not from your starting deck, such as the one that they just created, from Coup de Grace and from their leader ability, will not get the effect of Power Shift, because Power Shift only affects cards from your starting deck. Maybe they only just realized that, so maybe this is a rage quit. It certainly looks like it, but either way, we'll take the win. So there's a look at a Nilfgaard deck for the new Power Shift seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.